And we're live. Yay.
Hey.
Hi, Cindy. So good to
Hi,
see
Diane.
you. And good to be seen.
Yes, that's right. We're
Yeah.
talking about cults today.
Yes, cults and currents. And
And
so I would like us to just take a moment and land in the room and in the spaces that we're in
yeah.
and in our bodies. And so just good morning, Herbert. Thanks for joining
Good
us.
morning, Herbert.
And so, yeah, let's just take a moment and just sort of shrug your shoulders and
Why do
wiggle
you do that,
around a little
Diane? What's so
bit.
funny? I know.
Ah,
I
I
know.
know, but
I can go into mine right now. I'm not sure.
maybe not, and that's okay too. But right, like plant your feet on the ground,
Yeah, Graham, where's that?
right? Tapping into the ground, right? Just like land in this space.
All
I
right.
know that we are both feeling a lot of things in our body, right? That kind
Yeah.
of, and that's part of why I labeled this cult and currents. And
Mhm.
so, because the currents are real, right? In
Yeah.
all the ways that they show up in us.
Right.
And so, nice big exhale and just allowing ourselves to settle in and be able to be present and be here in this conversation. And our conversations, they keep getting a little deeper and deeper, right? And so
Yeah.
that's part of the current because um sometimes there's an undertow that we don't see and we don't know that we're going to bump into or that's going to bump into us, and it can pull us under. We've actually seen here in the US, right, where it can kill. Recently, we know that. And so really slowing down and noticing where we are in the waters and in the current is important, and um, and allowing for that, right? Allowing for wherever we are and to pause and to like maybe call out for a life raft even, or to stop fighting against the current and flow with it. Or, there's different ways that we can take care of ourselves. And also, if we're just scrambling, then we are not able to really work to save ourselves, right? Or to help ourselves in that way. So
Mhm.
thank you all for just coming into the space with us and bringing us back into center a little bit more and to helping our nervous systems balance out a little bit as we dive into our conversation today.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I have just so much popping up since the last time that we spoke. Yeah, so much. And you do too. You've just come back from a big retreat. So you saw friends, connected, probably heard a lot of stories. Yeah. So where are you in currents?
Mm, well, uh, I am full on in the middle of moving. We are full on in the middle of moving Kelly's mom into our home. And so we are helping her to downsize from her apartment and helping us downsize to create space for her to come into into the house, and all that that means for all of us as we enter this next and last phase of her journey here
Mhm.
in body. I am walking with friends who are losing parents or have just lost parents or are moving parents into their homes. We're sort of very much in that phase of life right now.
Mhm. Mhm.
Uh, and then I am in full on summer. Right? I'm in full
I
on
know.
summer in the garden as much as possible. And like you said, I went on a retreat to a festival. And I realized that because there were because we were knew that this was going to be happening with Kelly's mom, I advised the festival that I was supposed to work for that I would not be able to work for them this year, that I
Mhm.
needed to not be available, or I didn't know if I would be available, and I didn't want to have to cancel last minute. And so I was like, I better say no so that we can find someone to do that work. And in the process of letting go of that, I realized that I have not attended a festival as an attendee in 10 years.
Wow. So you've
That I
always
have
been working and
been
volunteered.
working them all for the past 10
Wow.
years. And I was like, whoa, oh, okay, that we're here now. And so, anyway, I took the time and went to the festival as an attendee and just had a vacation.
That's nice.
I how you know you need things and then you
Yeah.
don't know how much you need things?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was wonderful. I got to really connect and, yes, hear
Yeah.
stories and have great laughs and imagine our world that we would create as, folks that are outside the boxes of what our current administration feels is worthy.
Right.
So, yeah, that's where I am in the currents.
Huh. Interesting. Interesting. Well, I've been continuing my work deculting from the multi-generational cult that I was born into, which was Christian Science. And I joined a support group this month, which was really good online, and just a lot of people who are former Christian scientists in that group. And so it's a good place. I've never been in a support group before.
Mm,
Never, never in my whole
mm,
life. And so I found that that is really helpful for me.
yeah.
But I went to another level with it this month, which was really unexpected, which was sexual assault. And so, as specifically as a child, and then that led to like the ability to accept sexual assault as like a way of that people can connect to you or be sexual towards you, because children shouldn't be opened in that way. So, I was very grateful. I made emergency calls to both of my children when that came up in therapy to make sure that they had never experienced anything like what I had experienced. And I was really relieved that neither of them had. And I had actually done a good job protecting them when they were growing up. That was really nice. Um,
Oh, that's
and
so much.
it was just
It's
like
so much.
so much, so much. And, it's just, ah, it was not something that I expected was
Mm,
going to come up. I
mm,
just I guess with those things, you push them down so, so, so hard that you don't think that it's as big as it is when it does pop its little jack in the box head up. But this has been, like, a really difficult month. Like, I've found that, at work, I have been having problems concentrating,
mm,
engaging, and feeling like it's, like I'm worthy. All those feelings come
yeah.
up, and, um, it's just it's yeah, it's been a really hard month. I also, went full no contact with one of my siblings this month,
Mm,
which I've never done full no contact with anybody on the planet.
that's a hard boundary.
Because, there was just I was just being told that I had had a good childhood all the time by
Mm,
this one sibling, and that I had no, reason to be upset that
mm,
I could never get to, like, the truth, even though, um even though there's always an ask for to be truthful and to be, uh, I could never get to the truth. So that's it's been tough. It's been
Mhm.
tough, and, my dreams, so I'm working with a Jungian analyst, and my dreams are showing that I'm um, nearly done deconstructing this, but there's, like, one big deconstruction left. So, not looking forward to that, but,
Right.
um, I am certainly a lot more free. I mean, the reason I went into this process not knowing that Christian Science was as a cult was going to be the fruit of this process. But the reason I went in was because I have had just a profound, artistic block. I've written
Mm.
4 novels, 3 which are published, uh, you know, in a good publishing house in London, and then was not able to do anything more.
Yeah.
Wasn't able to publish the 4th novel, and, have just not even wanted to look at books, not even wanted to do writing. So, it's very unusual to me. That to me
Mhm.
is symptomatic as somebody who might, be facing, like, wanting to drink a lot of alcohol.
Mhm.
And I knew there was something, like, really deep, so that's when I went and got help. And it's just been brutal. I did talk therapy when I was in the States for years, and it
Mhm.
was honestly like going and entertaining the therapist is what it felt like to me. Like, I was there, I was paying them money to go and entertain them with my story, and they were very well entertained when I left, and I had, a little bit off my chest, but it was nothing like work. I didn't understand
Mm.
when people said it was work. I thought therapy was fun. Now I
Mm.
understand when therapy is
Mhm.
work. Yeah. And so uh it's just been rough. It's
Yeah.
been all out hard.
Yeah.
And but I've let go of people who want to leave my life. I've just said, okay, all right, bye. Um, or I've said no, um, or I'm in the process of letting go and leaving.
Mhm.
Um, and I'm starting to, instead of, I said in our last conversation, I said, I'm the kind of person who likes even reprehensible people. And somebody else said yes. And now I'm finding in myself that perhaps I was trained to
Mhm.
just see everybody as God's perfect child. I definitely was. I was not allowed to have any kind of discrimination when I was young. I was
Mm.
always supposed to see the good in everyone, no matter how hurtful they were, no matter how evil they were, no matter how uh, destructive, toxic, evil they were. There was some core of God's perfect child in them, and if you can just see that hard enough, Cynthia, they will heal just like Christ Jesus did. And what I'm learning now is that, that has flattened out my ability to discriminate between good people and people who are really, amoral and having and not abiding by any kind of integrity or moral compass and just doing what is the right thing for their need in the moment. So, um, just very amoral or materialistic or even immoral and then you go down that path and you have actual downright evil, don't you?
Right.
So, I'm starting to learn to have a sense of discrimination and that I don't want to do things that are with people like that. I don't
So
wanna
that
be around people like
I understand that journey.
you do?
That really resonates with
Yeah.
me, as, as someone who was raised Catholic and, in a Methodist, and Christian background. I think that that is not, simply a Christian Science thing. Maybe to that extent,
Mhm.
um, m I feel like some of the more fundamental Christian religions are a little more pushy about that
Mhm,
sort of mindset, perhaps, than the Catholics. And also, very much though, right? That like if we are all children of God, then the good is in all of us. And so I've always looked for that or been able to see that
mhm,
and look focused that way, and to my detriment in
mhm. Yeah.
many cases or some cases, and also to the detriment of humanity,
Mhm,
right? I think. Um, so yeah, I really understand what you're wandering about there as you're, that path that you're taking there. I do think that we are partially groomed that way to overcome the transgressions of the folks who have transgressed against us. As
yeah,
a sexual assault survivor,
yeah,
from early on,
yeah.
right, that resonates with me, in a lot of the ways that patriarchy and religion and capitalism continue to, right.
Yeah, I feel like it's much more. I mean, that's the soup we swim in, but I feel like it's more personal than that.
Yes,
These are no matter what system or society you live in, you're gonna find these ideas, um, and particularly directed towards women, although not exclusively directed
yeah,
towards women by any means. Men are very much in these, hurt by these, systems
absolutely.
too. Um, but this cult mentality is really on the rise,
Mhm.
um, and people want to be in, and then that means other people are out. That doesn't go back to sexual assault, but the other thing with God's perfect child, and is that when I was told that I was God's perfect child, that gave me a get out of jail free card to behave abominably towards other people.
Mm,
So I have, um, I was a childhood playground bully, right? Um, bullied some of the other children terribly, um, very mean. And, I mean, it came from the violence that I was under, but that doesn't excuse it. But when
it
I got
doesn't.
home, I could say to myself, I'm God's perfect child. And my mother would encourage me, like, if one of my friends was confronting me about something that I had done or my behavior or that I'd done something wrong, then, it would be, "No, Cynthia, you're God's perfect child," and that never happened in God's reality because God sees only good. And so in the past, there is only good.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Which
Wow.
allowed me to, it can allow a kind of a psychopathic behavior to develop in people, and I've
Yeah,
seen that behavior develop in people around me, and people who are coming out of Christian Science talk about something that we've all experienced, which is with, people who are still in it. You'll try to talk to them, and then all of a sudden, there'll just be this Teflon wall. And the
yeah.
Teflon and the smile goes on, and, the nod goes on, and what they're thinking in their head is, "You are a perfect child of God. This is a situation that is governed by divine love, and that it is doesn't exist." And so your words of confrontation and "Please be responsible" never get through.
They don't, and I love your analogy of a Teflon wall because it is like that. There is a look, right,
Yeah.
that comes over folks' face when we're like,
Yeah.
"Nope," like, and we see it. Y
You can see it in, like, I could see it in, like, my fundamentalist Christian friends too, or anybody who is heavily indoctrinated someplace or who just doesn't wanna engage, But in particular in cults, in this cult.
yes.
That's what happened.
Yeah.
And it allowed for other people um, to be to do evil, bad things, right?
Mhm.
Um, and not see them as bad or evil, right?
Yeah.
Or regrettable, uh,
Justifiable.
justifiable. And it also could not hold you could not hold yourself responsible because
Yeah.
you always could escape into
Yeah.
this other place. You just blow it off.
I have a tendency to think of all religion as cult.
My daughter does too.
I
Yeah.
really do, and I have for decades.
Uh-huh.
And also there are, I guess, then levels of, right? So
Right,
I
right.
don't mean any disrespect to a cult or whatever. Like I'm
Well,
not,
I feel
and
that
also I recognize that particular cults are truly right
death,
cults,
death
but I do think that all religion
is
can be
cool.
viewed as a cult. And
Yeah.
so in what you're talking about, this idea of lack of accountability,
Mhm.
right? For the way that we behave and the way that we treat other humans, like
Right.
that's a thing. In the Catholic faith, I feel like we got a pass as long as all you had to do was say you were sorry, right? You had to go to confession,
Yeah, go
and
to
once you do that, then
do
so
you
there's a
right.
little bit of penance,
Yeah.
right? Which may or may not actually be helpful for anyone, including the person who's been harmed by whatever you've, confessed. And also, it always just felt like a pass to me,
Yeah.
right? I watched people behave in abominable ways and then go to confession.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, that way to avoid accountability, I think, is really huge in Christianity, and we don't see it.
Yeah.
And then in particular, yeah, Christian Science, that's deep.
Yeah, I mean, it's a death cult. It's a death
Mhm.
cult because, it you are not allowed to have medical care, if you're in a radical reliance family, which is what I was in. Radical reliance means that you rely solely on Christian Science for healing. And so what happens is, you might get a cut or something like that. It gets infected. It seems like it's healed up, but the infection stays in your body. Your body's trying to fight it. And then that stays with you for years and years. Or you pick up a virus like Lyme, and then that stays in you for years and years. And you get slightly better. So you say, I've had a healing, but then it's not really a healing. Um, and then, people die. They just die from very easily treated illnesses, from sepsis, from appendicitis, from a broken bone, because they don't allow for access to medical care. So when I was a small child, well, small, I was maybe 12 or 13, I was carving a pumpkin and, my knife, my hand I was not supervised by an adult. My mother left me and my friend to carve pumpkins while she went to the theater, because if she just prayed about it, it was gonna be fine because we were all in God's perfect kingdom, right? But, the pumpkin slime meant that the my hand went down the knife and it slit the tendon in my
Mm,
little finger. And I knew from my father, who had died as a result of Christian Science, but I knew enough from him that I should go wash it underwater. So I went and it was heavily bleeding and I washed it for about 10 minutes. I just held it under cold
mm,
water until there was no more blood. And my friend called her father, who was also a Christian Scientist, and he came over and sang hymns. I
mm.
asked to go to the emergency room and, he refused to take me because he said my mother wouldn't allow it, and that
Yeah.
I was under her guardianship. Well, and that I should try to call mom. Well, I called the theater, but they didn't believe me, and they wouldn't go get her to come home. By the time, she got home, the man had put a Band-Aid on it. And so it didn't look. Mom just said, well, we'll call the practitioner in the morning. Long story short, I don't have the use of that right finger today because my tendon is somewhere upward near my elbow. And I was never tended to. I never received antibiotics. My brother looked at it and was horrified, and he said, Cynthia, this is really deep. I can see to the bone. And so he pasted my finger down, and then we called the other practitioner who's like the Christian Science healer, and they give you comforting words. But my body basically healed it when it was down. I went to school, and you just say, I'm a Christian Scientist, and then nobody will touch you at the school because you have medical immunity, which is completely wrong. I could have died. Like I could have died from that.
Mhm.
Um, I could have got a fever and died. As it was, I have a permanent injury. Um, and and my dad's dead as a result of this cult. I never got to have a father as a result of this cult. It's a death cult. It's a death cult. And they fought very hard for children to be exempt from vaccinations. And those are the laws that they're relying on in court right now, the ones put in place by my mother, my grandmothers, my uncles and aunts. Those laws are still being used for children to die today. And all you have to do is sign a slip of paper saying that it is my right not to, for that my child doesn't receive medical care, that we rely on God. Send that into the school, and the school will not,
Yeah,
they will not
they will
touch
not go
you.
against it.
They won't go against it.
Yeah,
And so that allows for abuse to happen um, with kids because it takes away the protection of the one place that can actually protect the child, which is the school, and particularly the school nurse. Um, so it is 100% a death cult, and 100% it's um, manipulation of the law in its favor, um, particularly freedom of religion with the Constitution of the United States. It's manipulation of that law, which I saw firsthand growing up. By my elders definitely worked towards that. That manipulation is still hurting children today and allowing for medical neglect in children today, and probably and also abuse, because if a child's being abused and they go to the school nurse and they have a religious exemption, again, who's going to who's going to touch them? Who's going to touch them? And so that allowed me to be abused. It allowed
yeah,
my mother to hit me. She hit me a lot, and she was very violent towards me in terms of physical. I don't know, like hitting, like pulling my hair, um,
mm,
like what do you got? I mean, she didn't cut me or burn me with cigarettes, but she didn't smoke
thank
because
God.
she was a Christian Scientist.
Yeah,
But, I was sent to bed without food. I was, um, punished in all kinds of ways. And those punishments are meant to keep you in line, keep you small. And
absolutely.
to the point of, all religion or cults. I don't know. I mean, I'm not like a religious expert. I couldn't go around the world. I think that's too broad of a brush because I
It
can't go
is.
around all the world religions and go, okay, yeah, Diane's right. Every single one of these is a cult.
Yeah. I
But I
don't
just
truth.
think that once you get, I mean, there is like a chart. There is a
Mhm,
chart, like the levels of control that are exercised over the people and how those are exercised, through, and, starvation's one of them.
mhm,
And I didn't realize until, therapy that was a tool that was also used on me,
Yeah.
with withdrawal of food. Because, we're not material, we are spiritual. Therefore, you don't actually really need to feed your kids that much. I mean, mom did feed us, but no, she withdrew food and withheld food as a punishment. That was one of hers. My father never did that, but my mother did.
Yeah.
She was
That's
abusive.
it is
And
abusive.
and yeah, for that is one of the problems that I have with my siblings is that they want to say that mom wasn't abusive or that
Mm,
she was just abusive to a normal amount for the time or that she was abusive to all of us. So you weren't special. But my mother was very abusive and controlling toward me.
yeah.
And I can't speak for my siblings, but I can tell you that happened to me. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And I know that siblings do all have their own individual
yes.
experiences.
Yes,
And
they
also for a sibling to not be willing to hear or witness your experience at all is hard. It's painful. I understand why you are cutting that person off at this point.
Yeah, I'm just not going to
Because,
deal with it
yeah,
any
there's just,
no,
yeah,
not going to. I'm not going to, be countenanced in that way any longer.
right. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I'm super proud of you. First of all, I want to
Thank
say
you.
that. Like, I'm super proud of you because so many people don't wanna do their hard work, right? They
It
don't want to unpack. They don't wanna do the
it
shoveling.
is
They don't wanna, because
hard.
it's not fun. It's fucking hard, right?
It's really
It's
hard.
so
It's been,
hard.
like, inside me. I come home from therapy on Tuesdays, and Paolo goes, "How are you?" And I go like, "Therapy's not fun, Paolo. This is not a good time. I'm not going down there for my amusement and entertainment.
Right? This is different.
It's spend my money on a really lovely English tea instead. This is not a good time."
Right?
It's just like, oh, and then by Wednesday, I go on Tuesday and I'm a mess. I on my shift on Tuesday night, I really should not take shifts on Tuesday night. And then I work out on Wednesday morning, like a good hard workout in the gym. And then I just do some TLC and on Wednesday. And then finally I'm like back in myself again. But it it has like really I don't even know what my husband thinks of me right now. I don't I'm afraid to ask. I'm a lot calmer. I'm a lot nicer person. Not as on
Mm,
edge, anxious,
yeah, right?
ready to snap. Yeah,
Mm,
it's tough. Yeah.
yeah,
What does what's described here really radically accept in religious people? Yeah. The other thing that I have been thinking about in terms of cults is white supremacy.
mm,
I was talking to a friend of mine over the weekend about white supremacy, supremacy and cults, and just trying to like think it out loud a little bit with a friend, you know. And he said to me, "Well, um, that's interesting. What does it make you forget?" And I thought that was so interesting because forgetting is such a huge part of being in a cult. Like,
mm,
you're not supposed to remember the pain. You're not supposed to remember the bad things. You're only supposed to remember the happy times. Um, and white supremacy, I can't even say the word today. It seems to me to have a, like my relatives, I remember them saying some very white supremacist things. I can recognize those now. Like, I remember somebody saying to me, Cynthia, we don't want so many Mexicans because then there will be more of them than there are of us. And
mm,
I thought at the time, well, who cares? Like, people is people, right? Like,
right.
I don't I like them. They seem to be warm and have really great traditions, and, as a child, that was my reaction, but that's a supremacist thing to say.
Mhm. It is.
Um, and then there was a lot of, racism in Christian Science,
Mm,
uh, and I just feel like that there is a direct link there, but I haven't unpacked it too much yet, but I would like to. Have you
the
unpacked that more?
I mean, there is a direct link there, right? I mean, there has to be. I mean, in terms of what we see in Christianity, first of all, Jesus was Middle Eastern,
Mhm. Yeah,
and all we see over here is all these white Jesuses, right?
right.
And so, there's a disconnect and there's a definite correlation in these paths. And yeah, and I would love to talk about that more as we go forward. Actually, on Wednesday night, one of the first things that I did when I got back into town was we facilitated a group of women that we were actually talking about interrupting racism and unpacking some of that white supremacy culture.
I'd like to do a book, like you and I read a book, and maybe I don't know if people on the chat want to read a book or have a book to recommend where we can like make some connections with white supremacy and racism. And I know there's a lot of really good writing out there,
Hmm.
and just unpack it and look at it and say, okay, I've really worked hard to try to find those places in me
Hmm.
that operate from there, and they're little snakes and cut all the little
Aren't
snake
they?
heads off, but there's always more where
Hmm.
that came from, you know?
Yeah.
Not going to pretend that
No.
that doesn't exist,
No.
um, and that definitely needs more talking about,
Hmm.
not less, and right now
Right. Especially as we're not especially. And yes.
yeah, so, I attended a, protest, as a journalist on Sunday. I wrote about it for my Substack, and people can see, the video of that. And over here, there are hotels that are housing the migrants who are coming across in the small boats, and those men are primarily men, some families, paying for the crossing across the English Channel in rubber dinghies. They arrive on the shores, and then the government does has passed an act in 1999 saying that those people must be given housing and subsistence.
Mm,
So they they get put into hotels. They rent out. The government leases the whole hotel, puts the migrants that have come across into those hotels, and then gives them a stipend. So they get like a debit card for their food for the week. And then they also um, have access to medical and dental immediately,
mm,
free medical, free dental.
mm,
And so that has caused a lot of resentment of
mhm.
people who say, well, I'd like to have a free place to live with free medical, free dental, and, you know, and then
Right.
though they're waiting for that, they're staying in those hotels until they can, get their papers sorted and get a job or whatever. And so
Right.
they're kind of at a loose end, these people. Um, and in some communities, so if one of them gets if a migrant gets arrested or put into, for and charged with some sort of crime,
Right.
right? Then that place and that migrant hotel has seen, is from what I can see in the news, to become a flashpoint
Mm,
for far right protests and neo
mhm.
Nazis. Not all, a lot of community members who don't like the idea, who are fed up with their taxpayer dollars going towards this, also come. So I'm not saying that everybody there is from the far right, but it has become a flashpoint for the far right because when I was there, you could hear on the far right rhetoric and what those people were saying. So I was among white supremacists as I was shooting this video. So I went into their camp and spoke to them, and went into
Mhm.
the Stand Up for Racism people, spoke to them. followed the Stand Up for Racism marchers as they went went through town, and then also stood with the far right people as the two hurled invectives across. And you can watch the video. You can see that
Yeah.
happening in the video. So I'm not making this up. Um, I shot it all myself, cut it all myself, told the story myself. So it's really but I was because I was in the far right crowd, for part of the time as a journalist, I could hear what they were saying to each other and the kinds of racist language, and I don't, I blend in. I just had my
Mhm.
camera, I blend in. They didn't know if I was I was there to do, so of course they're open in front of me, um, and just, like, hearing the poison coming out of their mouths towards these people. Um, and then being in the Stand Up to Racism group, which was interesting in how, like, mm, um, so many different people from different walks of life put their Sundays on hold, Sunday
Yeah.
on hold, so they could come and hold signs and sing. And their chants were really good, actually. They had really
Nice.
good chants. Like then, I've been in some march. I've been in lots of marches, lots of protests, and mostly protests are lame. But these guys had got all of their songs down. They had the best songs I've ever heard
Nice.
in a protest. That was refreshing anyway, but it wasn't about the songs. But anyway,
I mean, music adds to anything.
yeah, it adds to anything. So it was interesting because last night there was footage coming in from another one of these migrant hotels in a different location this time. And a lot of the people that I'd seen on the Sunday protest from the migrant hotel, we hate migrant hotels, or we don't want them in our community. They wouldn't say hate. We don't want migrant communities in our migrant hotels in our communities. We're at the next protest. So
Mm,
it's like a core of people that are going from these places, place to place, when there is a thing that arises in the news about that place. And then that becomes the attractor for people in the local community who've been disgruntled with it anyway,
mhm.
and are concerned about it anyway. And then they are congealed around this. That's what I've seen anyway. That's my personal experience.
Yeah.
Um, so I feel like, but back to cults, I felt like when I was in the anti-migrant protests, for the hardcore of people, not the community members who had come and had just made their signs and pitched up because they were worried about it. But that hardcore that seems to be traveling around, I feel like there's a real cult like aspect to it. As a cult
Mhm.
survivor, I game knows game, right? So I could feel the comfort of the cult, the security of the cult, the security of um, well, the people I know the people around me are going to have my back and support
Mhm.
me when I, swear at this police officer or swear at that person or throw my beer can at them or throw a water bottle or whatever. I know they're going to have my back. Um, and so there's that safety and security in knowing the language that you're supposed to use
Right.
too. Like in Christian Science, that was a huge thing, is we knew the language that we were supposed to say.
Mm,
We had our, you know, my daughter said to me, "Well, you should tell this person," we were talking about different, that you were Christian Science. I'm like, she wouldn't pass the test. You never
mm,
say, "I'm Christian Science." Immediately, you know that person is not. You say,
mm,
"I am in Christian Science,"
mm,
or "I am in CS." And then if you really wanna telegraph it, you talk about Mary Baker Eddy, who's the cult leader, as her, but with a capital H. You
mm.
capital it in your head. Nobody else. You can't do it on paper.
Right.
That would make people mad, but she's her, capital H. Well,
Mm,
she says, you know, that she says, well, she, had these problems too. And in her writings, and we know then that is a very subtle telegraph. Okay, I'm a radical reliant Christian Scientist. I'm talking to another radical reliant Christian Scientist. And we are talking cult language. And so, I mean, the invective at the far right protest definitely was that cult language. Now, if I had gone, if I'd spent more time with Stand Up to Racism, probably there's a cult language there too, like
mhm.
it's a group. They're going to
Yep.
feel comfortable. They're going to know what each other can say and can't say, who's got their back.
Yeah.
So I don't know. All religions are cults. All groups are cults. I don't know,
I
but I
mean,
don't.
there's
But I don't.
cult-ish
I think
behavior.
cults have there is a very specific set of criteria when we talk about cults, and its coercion is in there. And that's why I don't feel that the Stand Up to Racism people necessarily qualified, because I
Mhm.
felt like all of those people were able to go live their lives afterwards, but I felt like there was more of a lockstep required of the people who were against the migrant hotels, and that
Yeah.
was that hardcore, not the community members. I'm distinguishing very clearly in this conversation between community members who are disgruntled about the place and see it on a day-to-day basis and have their complaints, between the hardcore of anti-migrant, far-right, racist, ultimately racist because I heard racist language and have the tapes to prove it. Um,
Mm,
People. Yeah.
yeah. Anti-racism work, I've actively been doing anti-racism work for the last 10 years,
Mhm.
and, it has tapped into my worthiness wound and clawed it open in a way that nothing else has.
Tell me about that.
Um, I'm not even sure that I have a lot of words to articulate it in this moment, and, um, it so this worthiness thing that you were talking about earlier, and I know Abiel mentioned that worthiness is coming up for her this week or this month, this time as well, and I know for a lot of us that is the case, that's a thing that has festered in our beings.
Mhm.
The idea of, are we worthy? I think it's rooted in Christianity somewhat, but we'll talk about that
Mhm.
later. So it's kind of always been there. And as I really had to sit in the muck of what it meant to be a nice white lady, yeah. Then I had to, like, it just really eked at all of my, right, defensiveness. I was so I mean, I can be really defensive anyway, but I was so defensive, and then I was so adamant that, right, whatever, 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 but not me, and then, like, just, am I good enough? Am I good enough? Am I doing it enough? Am I doing right? Like, so much of that,
Like,
and
prove
guilt.
yourself?
Right, and the idea of, like, proving that and it's sort of a phase that we kind of go through as we're learning and
Mhm.
unpacking,
Mhm.
um, and yeah, it just r wreaked havoc with my worthiness, my thought
Mhm.
of worthiness.
So did it deconstruct your idea of what worthiness is?
Oh, yeah, right, because I had to really look at someone who I loved very much, and still love very much, and also had to say to me from a few feet away, like, "You don't see me as human."
Oh, wow.
And I was like, right? And immediately, like, I don't what do you mean? I don't see you as human. You're right. Like, I very much felt like I did. And also in unpacking my own whiteness, right? I realized also that I do see you as human, and also I hear what you're saying. And oh, fuck, none of us really see each other as human because capitalism, right? Like all the things.
Because of the soup we swim in.
If if these systems have white people not seeing each other as humans, even the people that don't look like us or don't act like us, if I'm a Christian person and I barely see other Christian people as human because we're so godlike, then why am I seeing human?
Yeah,
We've let go of humanity with Christianity.
interesting.
It's very interesting. 15 years ago, maybe, I don't even know, maybe not that long. Somewhere I sat in on a day-long workshop with a bunch of social workers and mental health practitioners, which is not unusual for me. And I remember the day very clearly because I learned about humanism. I was like, what is this? There's something called humanism? What is that? And it's a whole spirituality, but dedicated to humans. I was like, oh, it was really eye opening to me and has melded its way into my spirituality, really,
Mhm.
because what happens when we don't see color, right? As white people often, one of the good ones, not one of the racist people, but one of the good ones, one of the nice white ladies, I didn't see color.
Mhm.
By not seeing color, which is a lie, first of all, it's a lie
Mhm.
because you said to me today, look, you have a nice tan. We see color,
Mhm.
unless we're colorblind, and maybe we don't, right? Or whatever, or blind. And also, when we don't see someone's body,
Mhm.
someone's lived experience,
Right,
we discount it.
right,
And that is their human lived experience.
right.
And if we focus on the soul, no matter what our religion is or our spiritual beliefs are, if we focus only on the soul, or that we feel like that is worth more, and this is just a machine with a soul or whatever, like there's an imbalance, right?
Right.
And so I think that balance of humanity and
Yeah,
spirituality is
there's not just
really important.
imbalance, there's a total, de like, negation. There's a
Mm,
complete negation. In Christian Science, you are spiritual, not material, that's what you're told.
yeah.
And so the body is 100% negated. And so if
To the
you
point of you're
yeah,
denied health care.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
And that abuse is fine if you
yeah.
just heal your thoughts about it. So when you say, "I don't see color," it's a negation of
Mm,
that other person's lived experience and what they go through every day in their
mhm.
body, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Just by being in a different body.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And oftentimes that comes from a place of meaning well,
yeah.
right? And so then it's
But
an
wanting to
intention
be
of
good, trying to be
yeah,
good.
and wanting to be
Maybe
good,
it's the
trying to be
first step.
good.
I think maybe the first step is out of racism is maybe the first step for somebody. I mean, a person can use it as a shield. I don't see color, but you can it's also perhaps a step if they take it if somebody says, "That's not true,
Mm,
you do see color." You
mhm,
have to take it up with other folks. That's been one of the hardest things for me to do is to, in the moment, overcome my shock that somebody has an idea that's racist or has said something racist, and then like go into, oh, well, let's talk about that some more. You know,
mhm,
can you please tell me more about that? And that has been really hard for me. I still not great at it. So still sometimes I just get kinda like that, you know?
I do know. It has
Yeah,
taken me it's taken me years, and sometimes still I can get like, "Right?
yeah.
What did you just"
What? Huh? What?
Yeah. And so that's why the practice of
Yeah,
interrupting it is really a helpful practice, right? So that when
yeah.
we are in that situation, we're able to, yeah, to interrupt it in whatever way. And I like the way that you're interrupting with curiosity, or your goal is to interrupt with curiosity, right? And to
I
say,
think so.
tell me
Yeah,
more about that.
yeah. Tell me.
Another approach for some
Yeah.
folks might be, why do you think that's okay to say around me?
Oh, that's yeah. Why do you think that's okay to
Why
say?
do you think that's okay? Just because I look like you
Yeah.
doesn't mean I think like you.
Yeah, that's a good one. Why do
Yeah.
you think it's okay to say that around me? I
Yeah.
like that. I've never done that one. That's a good one. I will put that in my toolbox.
Yeah.
Write it down and memorize it. Why do you think that's
Mhm.
okay to do you think it's okay to say that? And then sometimes I say things that I regret later or don't wanna say or think I shouldn't have said that. That was inappropriate. I should have like, why did I do that? Why did I say that thing? And then that is cause for, like, remorse and reflection and, like, why did I do that?
And if you're like me, then it's also cause for a lot of overthinking, spiral thinking. But then that's why, when we're talking about anti-racism work or anti-oppression work of any kind, because
Mhm.
they're linked inextricably. When we are talking about doing anti-oppression work and liberating ourselves, it is important to do it in community,
Oh, interesting.
right? And so one of the things that white supremacy culture has us doing is individuality, right?
Uh-huh.
Pull yourself up by the bootstraps. Like, we all know that idea, but also nuclear family.
Yeah.
We don't do community in the white world very much, right? That's not in the ways that people used to do community.
I think that is also an American thing 'cause
It's
I
very much an
it's different.
American
I
thing.
feel that's very different in Britain. I feel like community is really strong here, and multi-generational families are encouraged. People grandmas and grandpas are out with the kids, grandkids all the time. There's a lot of, toing and froing. Grandparents have a really active role in raising the grandkids. They really look forward to grandchildren coming so that they can take they can have they can be babysitters, they can, take them to lunch. There's just a very different attitude towards, um, the wider family in
Yeah.
Great Britain. Like, it's much more common for, young people to still be living with mom and dad, like, right the way through
Sure.
or a young family living with mom and dad because it's cheaper while they save up for a deposit or whatever. That happens all the time, and mom and dad go, "Oh, well, it's a little bit tight, it's a little bit of a squeeze." You find out, like, there's 5 of them living in a three-bedroom or something, you know? The baby's in the loft. No, no,
Right?
no, but they've converted the loft so that, mom and dad can go up there and
Yeah. You
so it
know,
does happen. It's yeah,
it
much
it does happen, and it is much more common, I think, in other countries. I
And
think part of
also,
it too.
the other thing here is we don't have guns. So people are not afraid of discussing hard things with each other, even in public, even
Mhm.
just like over or standing at a bus stop. You're not afraid to talk to the person next to you. No
So
one afraid.
white supremacy culture is, there is that fear of conflict is a as a core
Marker?
component, a
Yeah.
characteristic or a marker of white supremacy culture, that fear of conflict. And we see that in particularly white women all the time,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Of just a fear of conflict.
Yeah.
Yeah. Got to go with the flow, or, mhm,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Whatever he says goes, or whatever all those things are.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think part of what makes American culture so different than many places in the world is the size,
Right.
right? It really is the size of our country. I think. I've been wondering lately is, should we be the United States of America?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think that's a real question, actually.
Yeah.
But after moving abroad and living here for a few years, I think the big difference is guns.
Mm. It's a
I
huge
think
thing.
take away take let's just wipe that off pretend you have an eraser and guns is on a board and you wipe the word guns off the board and nobody has them, right? You go back to a world where nobody has them. Um,
I mean, we just saw a mass shooting in Manhattan this week.
yeah,
It was-
you wouldn't be afraid of talking to your neighbor anymore. It would just be a neighbor.
Yeah,
And there'd be certain people who went insane and did things like, oh, I don't know, bludgeon people or poison people or
sure.
whatever. But you wouldn't have the fear in the day to day of one person talking to another. And so the guns help to keep division going between people. It helps to
Absolutely.
create an apartheid society and
Yeah,
to keep an us them, which is baked into the United States from
it
its
is
foundation, from the
so baked in.
genocide of the Native Americans and the enslavement of African people. It's baked in that we can tell who's on the inside and who's on the outside with a look.
It's baked in, and we have erased it and unerased it and erased it and unerased it, and now we're erasing it again.
It's being erased again. Yeah.
And
Because
it
when it was pointed out and people started to wake up and started to, like, be friends with each other, and deconstruct, then it was called woke and tarred and feathered and kicked down, put in a can, and the lid slammed on.
I passed
So
by this guy's uh, yard on a couple of days a week that his one of his signs says, "I'm awake, not woke."
I'm awake.
Yeah.
Funny.
Mm, okay, buddy.
What does that even mean?
uh, right? Like, I don't know.
Well, except when you're asleep for the 8 hours that you're in your house.
Right? Oh,
Yeah, but see, that's a way to, again, say, I'm on the in, you're on the out. That's that
yeah.
comfortable
Right.
language. And, um, yeah, yeah, I yeah, it's linked.
I don't remember the guy's name now who was in jail and then died and is the or the sexual abuse guy. What's his name?
Epstein? Epstein.
Epstein. Yeah, Jeffrey Epstein. Speaking of the Trumpian cult, the, they seem to be kind of disappointed in this big switch that Trump has made from, like, all of that. Oh, there's all this problem to. Oh, no, no, no. There, he,
Nothing
yeah,
to see here. Nothing, it's like,
right. There's nothing to
"Well,
see
finish
here.
your story.
I've
He's
been
even
having
dead."
I've been having conversation with folks, and hearing a lot of from other folks about, yeah, the Trumpians are not okay with that, or not all of them, obviously, but there are more and more folks who are not okay with that. And I was like, well, at least there's something. Like, where is the line, right?
Right. Well, I feel like his get out of jail free card is this one that we've been talking about with Christian cults. And I think that's why it is so important to look at cults right now at this point in time, is because, as I explained in my King Cyrus, why Donald Trump, King Cyrus, what is the connection? There are people in that evangelical movement who think that he's a prophesied person, and who would say, well, in Christianity we have forgiveness, and he became Christian after he did these naughty things, and he is not that man anymore. He is, sanctified, or I don't know what their language
Mhm.
for it would be. And so therefore, he does not it's like a clean slate. He's been given a clean slate from the moment he became Christian and part of their thing. Now all of the stuff that he did before, the reprehensible parts
Those sins were
are
washed away.
all forgiven. His sins are washed away,
Mhm.
and he is he has been sent to us to make, to roll back time and to take back America. And it's an absolute cultish way of thinking, and it has so many people in its grip. Um, so I'm glad to hear that some people are saying, "Hey," but those people won't be on the inside.
No. And then the other people that are saying, "Hey," are the
Yeah.
people that are being impacted by the cuts,
Mhm.
right? And by the
Mm.
chaos that he's caused.
Right.
And they're saying, "Hey, that wasn't supposed to affect me. It
Oh,
wasn't
really?
supposed to be
Oh,
it
really?
wasn't supposed to be." What?
Have you heard somebody out in the wild say that? Oh, really? Okay. Oh, wow.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't even know what to say. Like, sorry, not sorry. I mean,
Yeah.
and that's where so for part of my practice, it has been really in sticking with the sorry, not
Mhm.
right? I'm sorry that's happening to you. I'm sorry you're having that experience. Because when I'm sorry, not sorry, right? When I'm all like, well, fuck you too about it, you voted for that, then that's discounting their humanity. And so then I'm like, okay, stop, Diane. Like, bring your, like, right, bring back, come back, find your heart, connect. Remember that this is their real life experience. And also, that doesn't mean I don't, that doesn't mean I have to engage in more conversation with that person, or that doesn't mean I have to like listen to all of the that they want to talk about or anything else. And also still trying to remain connected to the humanity of all of us because a lot what happens is that a lot of liberals will get really high and mighty, right? They'll get very like, well, whatever. And that's not the answer either.
Yeah, high and mighty just creates more separation, and it's easy to get high and mighty with anybody, you know?
Sure.
We
And it's easy to, yeah, sometimes have that happen, right?
Yeah,
It's,
yeah, we have to have discrimination, we have to make choices about who we wanna spend our time with and our energy with, but
but
I
just
think
because the,
yeah, I
and
think
and the other thing that happens, I'm sorry to interrupt, but the other
yeah,
thing that happens is, that not only do I see liberals thinking that they are better than
mhm.
people who voted for Trump, is that they're smarter than. What,
Oh,
right? There's a lot of, well, they're stupid.
uh-huh,
And that's not true.
right,
That's not true. There may be some ignorant folks who are, or some folks who are ignorant on certain subjects who voted for this individual and this administration. And also, there's a lot of folks who are not stupid, right?
right.
That voted for him or voted for them. And so I think that that discounts our humanity as well. So,
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge floating block, like, and then it's got the whole of the populace from small to tall.
yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, there's gonna be really brilliant people in each camp and really, really not very smart people or people who have a basic amount of knowledge of things.
So
Um,
I'm curious to to ponder like what draws people into cults,
mhm.
right? A charismatic leader
Yeah, charismatic leader.
is the number one thing that starts that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And that charismatic leader, in this case, they're looking for somebody who's real.
yeah,
And this guy's as about, I mean, he may or may not be real, but he's about as appearing real as can get. Like he's, you know, in terms of, yeah, I'm just me. You either like me or don't like me.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
I
It's
feel
not
like
enough for me.
I
Like,
feel
I
I
need more values. I need more ethics. I need more, compassion.
I feel like at that level, things are very manufactured, you know?
Mm,
Things are very manufactured, and there's a team, and everything's thought through really well. And if you have, like, a shambling personality, then the shambling personality really works, and you've
yeah.
been told to lean into it. So, I don't know, but
He's a TV guy first and foremost. We have to
Mhm.
remember that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And we are a TV nation.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's yes, interesting, interesting. Yeah, I don't know. Well, I feel like I'm kind of at the end, but I don't
Mhm.
know if you've got any more. We've got to an hour, and I don't know. It's been a really useful conversation. I hope other
Yeah.
people found it so.
Yeah, I hope so as well. Um, no, that feels pretty complete to me.
We don't have a topic for next time, so maybe we do want to look more at white supremacy and its relationship to cults.
Yes, I am definitely interested in doing sort of a book thing,
All right.
or a reading thing, a continuing the reading thing, and
Yeah. Do you have something
um,
to suggest, or people have something to suggest? That'd be nice.
let me ponder that for a minute because there's a catalog, right? And
Thank you, Herbert.
yeah, thanks, Herbert. And then I will write something to follow up with
Okay.
this,
All right, good.
and then we'll plan the next one.
All right, good. All right.
Sounds
Well,
great.
thank you everybody who joined. We really
Thank
appreciate it.
you.
I'm
Yeah.
glad. I hope you all have a wonderful day and that it gave you some food for thought. You've got some questions for us as well. Be nice.
Yeah, if you have any questions, comments, thoughts, things you wanna add, suggestions for our books or readings going forward,
Yeah.
feel free to drop them in the comments, and yeah, thank you all for participating today.
Thank you.
Have a
Bye-bye.
great day.
Bye.
Bye.